who is the Texas border czar. I wanted to come out to this location, which has been pretty much ground zero in the United States in the aftermath of Joe Biden lifting Title 42. Many people can remember that on the night that Title 42 was lifted and in the ensuing days, the riverbank right behind me was a location where migrants repeatedly tried to enter the United States illegally. And there was only one thing that caused them to not enter illegally, and that's because of the Texas National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety, building the barriers that were needed to prevent people from entering, and then having the personnel behind those barriers to ensure that no one would enter. As far as I know, it's the first time in American history that a state has led the effort to prevent people from entering the United States illegally. Let's be clear. That's the job and the responsibility of Joe Biden and the federal government. There's only one reason why people were trying to enter illegally in the first place, and that's because they perceived the permission by the Biden administration to enter. I wanted to be here and thank the soldiers and troopers and other personnel. Texas was able to secure the border and prevent people from entering illegally only because of their unprecedented effort in a challenging terrain and sweltering conditions, and they were up to the task. And similarly, their fellow soldiers up and down the entire border from here all the way to El Paso are working in the same way. And I have the same gratitude for all National Guard from here to El Paso and DPS troopers from here to El Paso for working around the clock to make sure that we build the barriers that are needed and we deploy the personnel that are needed to make sure that we secure the border. Now, never forget this. It was just 3 years ago in these exact same areas where we had the lowest number of illegal border crossings in about 40 years. And the reason it was that way is because we had an administration that imposed the Title 42 policy, the Remain in Mexico policy, the ending of catch and release, and the building of a border wall. When Joe Biden came in, he eliminated all of those measures, and that led to the unprecedented illegal border crossings. Texas has had to respond to the Biden administration's refusal to enforce the immigration laws. We've deployed more National Guard, thousands of National Guard, than ever before in the history of the state, more than 1,000 Texas Department of Public Safety troopers. They have turned back tens of thousands of people who are trying to cross the border illegally. Together, just Texas law enforcement alone have seized enough deadly fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in the entire United States of America, and to relieve congestion and crowded conditions in communities ranging from Brownsville to Eagle Pass to Del Rio, all the way to El Paso. We are busing people who the Biden administration has allowed into those communities to sanctuary cities across the United States. And in addition to this concertina wire border wall that you see, Texas is also the only state in the history of America to build our own border wall, an effort that we will continue. One thing that we've seen, and that is, it's not just Texas that's a border state. Because of what the Biden administration has done, every state in America is a border state. Joe Biden allows these people to cross the border illegally, and then they are transported by the Biden administration to other cities and states across the country. Governors of those other states recognize that they are not going to be able to deal with the chaos caused by Joe Biden in their own states. And that's one reason why I made the request for other states to join in this effort. Other states who witnessed what Texas was doing to repel people from entering illegally decided they want to be a part of this process also. We already have commitments from the states of Florida and Idaho to provide either National Guard or law enforcement officers to assist in this effort. Other states also are reaching out to connect with us to find ways in which they can also provide assistance. In addition to all of that, I'm working on new laws as we come to a close of this legislative session that will provide us even more tools. One is we are seeking to make it a felony for anybody to cross into the state of Texas illegally. So in addition to what we currently have in place, we would also be able to begin arresting people for crossing into our state illegally and put them behind bars for a very long time. We also want to make it a felony for anybody operating a stash house. When people come across the border between ports of entry, typically one of the first places they go to is to a stash house. And we want to be more effective in shutting those down. And then the last new law is something that I find the most reprehensible thing that I've seen as governor. And that is our fellow Texans are actually providing aid and assistance to the drug cartels across the border by picking up people who came across the border illegally and assisting in smuggling them illegally in the state of Texas. And we need to shut that down. And so we are seeking a law to create a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years behind bars for anyone caught smuggling people illegally in the state of Texas. One of the leaders of this effort for the National Guard is Brigadier General Barker. I'll have him make a few remarks at this time. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. The eyes of Texas, and indeed the entire nation, have been on our guardsmen for the past few weeks, and they have performed flawlessly. I am so proud of their skill, their professionalism, their operational agility, and their resolve to hold the line, and we will continue holding the line. We will continue leveraging our asymmetric capabilities, such as our watercraft operations, our small unmanned aerial systems, our brush teams that are out with our Department of Public Safety partners every night, interdicting illegal narcotics, human trafficking, and weapons, and our engineers who have worked tirelessly over the past few weeks to improve physical security at key points up and down the border. I also want to say we will continue to support DPS and our municipal law enforcement partners in this important work. We look forward to the contributions of our Florida National Guard soldiers who will be joining Joint Task Force Lone Star within 72 hours. I also wanted to express my gratitude for the public support we've received, especially in our border communities where our guardsmen not only work and serve, but live. And finally, perhaps most importantly, I want to offer my heartfelt thanks to those guardsmen's families for their unwavering support, which enables them to continue in this important mission. Thank you.
Thank you, General. So you mentioned several things that are incredibly important. We have gratitude for all of these National Guard and DPS officers. We also have gratitude for their families. We know they don't serve alone. They serve as a family unit. And when their family unit is strong, our Guard and our DPS officers in their service are even stronger. Also, as the Brigadier General mentioned, the eyes of America were on Texas. Texas needed to step up and do what it needed to do. These men and women in uniform here today, they're considered to be heroes by their fellow Americans. And they should be proud of what they have done. I'm proud of what they have done. Someone else who has been helping to lead and coordinate this effort is Colonel Steve McCraw, the Director of the Texas Department of Public Safety.
Thank you, Governor. General, your people are phenomenal, outstanding, around the clock, always on the job. Appreciate it. The Governor's Homeland Security Strategy, the key part of it is this tactic we're called Operation Hold the Line. These hold the line operations, he's made it very clear. There's 29 ports of entry in Texas. That's where migrants can go. But this law limits to cartels, transnational gangs, transnational criminal activity, and migrants seeking to come across between the ports of entry. Already the cartels are trying to circumvent what we're doing here, and they'll continue to do so. They've got billions of dollars. They've got a lot of money at stake. They reaped billions of dollars in terms of the human trafficking aspect of it, and they'll continue to push in these areas. We've got the people and the capabilities right now and the strategy to be able to address that. For example, cartels have made it very clear, and they're teaching, they're coaching, they're providing tactics and techniques and new procedures for smugglers, and they're even providing them gloves better than what our troops have here to install the razor wire to be able to defeat it. And every time they do so, they damage that razor wire, they'll be charged with a state crime of criminal mischief. up to a Class B misdemeanor, or maybe a Class A, depending on how much they damage, General. That hard work by your men and women in that regard. The governor's made it very clear we're going to stand tall. We are not going to allow anybody, and as we keep moving, as the cartels move, whether it's this sector or the other 4 sectors in Texas, we'll continue to respond. Governor, thank you for your leadership on this important issue.
Thank you. And now the Texas borders are my thanks.
Thank you, Governor. It's an honor to be here today with you as we show gratitude to the men and women of Texas DPS and the Texas Guard. You know, a few days after Governor Abbott launched the Texas Tactical Border Force to come down here and support the rest of the Lone Star troops that were down here, we saw a significant reduction in the traffic. We were looking at 2,700 daily average migrants crossing right here in this area. Today, we see 20 on a daily average, right? And so I think it's a testament to what a few hundred brave men and women can do on the border when they're supported by a leader like Governor Abbott, who is serious about securing our border, about protecting the state of Texas and our country. And we all a debt of gratitude to every one of these guys and gals down here, because I've been down here with them, and I have never seen a group work together better and harder in this heat, and it's just a phenomenal job. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. We'll take a few questions.
Governor, what's your response to people that are concerned about that possibly state-created border patrol unit? They might think that it's discriminatory or it might infringe on, federal issues. What's your response to those concerns?
Listen, somebody in this country has to step up and hold the line and not allow people to cross into our country illegally. This is the state of Texas, and we have every right to secure our border, and that's exactly what we are doing and what we will continue to do.
Governor, what's the state of Texas doing after 8 individuals were taken from that vehicle? City of Brownsville, other Valley cities are having trouble managing the number of people who are on the streets. How's the state of Texas stepping in to assist in that?
So first, I've been in communication and collaboration with the mayor, the police chief, and the county judge to make sure they have all the resources they need to investigate, prosecute, whatever they need to do with regard to the person who caused the mayhem in the first place. Second, part of our goal is to make sure that we don't have large number of people like that on the streets in potentially unsafe conditions, and a consequence or byproduct of what we're doing on the border right now should lead to fewer people on the street that could be subject to crimes like that.
Governor, there's a historic resource right over there. The first battle of the Mexican-American War. How's the state of Texas working with federal National Park Service to try to keep from trampling and protecting them?
We revere our national and state monuments, and want to make sure they're protected. And at the state level, we're working to make sure that gets done, and we're happy to collaborate with the feds to ensure that also.
You are waiting help from Florida and Idaho. How long are they going to stay here? How long are they going to cooperate?
So we expect additional troops to come in from both Florida and Idaho in the coming days, and they will be here for at a minimum several weeks, potentially longer than that.
2 more questions. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you all, and most importantly, thank all these brave men and women for the heroic effort they put in. Thank you all very much.